G'day ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining me on my journey into the ecological dynamics and constraints-led approach for grappling. I'm your host Sam Fields, and I'm here to just have a bit of a chat about today's lesson. I actually left today's lesson up to my good friend Aaron, and just wanted to have like a bit of a review, because we had a good chat afterwards, and part of that chat was him he wants to, he sees the value in what I'm doing. He just, at the moment, he's not and he said this, he's not quite understanding which parts to become that need to become a game as such, or a task-based thing. So, for example, and I'll give you a quick rundown, and I will be critiquing it as such. He's a purple belt. He's been doing this for a long time. He's very good. Gives me a lot of troubles on the mat. Very back and forth. He's also got to give the man props. He's one of the main reasons why I've been so super consistent for most of the time in the last sort of 7 odd years, is because he used to rock up on my at my front door in the morning and drive me to the gym, and we would go to and from the gym together on multiple occasions. He has been a rock in that respect. So what I said to him this morning, and like I said in the Kitdale, Kitdale and Beyond Jiu-Jitsu criticisms, like what I was criticising. Yeah, sorry for doing this to me beard, but it gets out of control. But yeah, the criticisms I have are not about the coaching or what the content of the coaching is. The criticisms are specifically related to, are they ecological dynamics or constraints-led approach? That would be my main thing. He has discussed on a number of occasions that he likes the idea. He still thinks there is benefit too, and this is how I was in that kind of in that initial sort of first, say, month that I'd been introduced to it, month and a half even, and it wasn't until I was kind of knee deep in a ton of podcasts when I realised, I need to learn more about the actual why behind it. And that's what I said to him this morning. I said, look, read How We Move by Rob Gray, and you'll get a fundamental understanding as to why this approach works, and then from there, if you understand the why, then the how actually manifests itself in many ways. Another thing that I was thinking about today, because I left today's lesson to him, I didn't need to design a practice, but that was okay, because yesterday I felt like, even though it turned out okay, I felt like I didn't put enough in, and I've realised that part of that is, or something that I can do to ensure that I put in enough effort into practice design, is if I think about what I'm not good at the fundamental level, right? And so there's certain things that I know I'm not good at fundamentally, that I could then I understand the step-by-steps and that kind of thing, but I'm no good at it, if that makes sense. So I know that in order for there's a particular, so stepping back a bit, tomorrow I know what I'm going to design as a practice, because I know what I want to work on and what I want to get better at. And so it's been having the chat with him afterwards. I said to him specifically, this is not a critique of the content. It is a critique through a CLA lens, and that's what I'm going to do right now. So I like that he took on my structure of something standing, then into something guard, and then into the main order of the day, which is the side control. I do like that he did that. Main criticism I would be is that he basically said to a couple of white belts, just move around the body, and the person just stands there and lets them move around the body. And I was like, oof, and he gave basically 5 to 6 different options as to what position you could get yourself in to take someone down, and that was, I mean, I don't want to I didn't like this one at all. In the past I may have, because it was like, oh yeah, it makes you think about it, but I think there's too much focus on and if you're in this, and if you've got your head under here, and if you do this, you can grab the legs and that sort of thing. There's too much focus on steps or a variety of positions. I don't want to say nobody's learning off that, but if nobody's learning any of the destabilization, nobody's learning any of the timing, and you're not putting it's literally just someone running around someone else. I'll just bear with me. I'll find what it is. All right, scrap that. Don't worry about it. Basically, if I was to do that, which I did the day before, if I was to do that, I would choose one particular part. And then I would say, right, you're going to have arms around, and your goal is to get both the feet off the ground, right? And the person in front, their goal is just to keep at least 1 foot on the ground, right? And that's would be the warm up. There's your whole body's getting involved on both accounts, and you're literally trying to get the person off the ground, right? So, yeah, that would be. I'll think about that a little bit more, and you'll probably see that in tomorrow's thing. And then we went into open guard thing where you connect the shin. And then go into, and here's the thing again, okay, connect the shin and blah blah blah, and then what? And he was saying, you need to push the foot out, and you need to do this, and then bang, and by the time you get up there and you've got on your side, then you can get your leg around to a single leg X, or the alternative, you just stand up with a so he split this into 2. So first off, it's you can do either single leg X or just push them away, sort of thing. And it's like okay, yep, cool. But again, there's no resistance happening there. There's no it's just give it a little bit of resistance and then put a little bit more in. It's like, all right. What I would have done is I would have been like, okay, we're going to connect the shin, we're going to have that, and the goal is to get this leg into the air, and that's the first task, right? And then we get that into the air, and then, however they want to do that. So however that self-organises around, because what ends up happening is people step in and all that kind of stuff, right? And then the next part would be, all right, you're now shin to shin, but they've sort of faced into you, all right? So now my goal is to stand up while maintaining the foot in between my legs, right? And so they have to then self-organise around this idea that they've hooked that leg, and they have to stand up from that, right? So yeah, and then we got to the side control stuff. Oh, that's right. And then he so that's where I would have been with that. But again, the problem with that is we've got an hour. And by this stage, we're at 34 minutes into that hour, and we're trying to get 3 to 4 rolls in at the end, right? So those 3 to 4 rolls in at the end, like, they take up at least 15 minutes. So we've got basically, 10 minutes to get through what this last week is, right? So what I would have done is simplified or singlified the things that he's done, 3 or 4 sort of opportunities, early on in the piece. And I do want to go back just quickly to one of the stand-up things. He said, I realised when I was doing this that I need to work on my knee positioning and I was just thinking, bro, there was no resistance. Like, how do you even know that there was, that you need to work on your knee positioning? If I was putting in resistance, that positioning might have been perfect. That's what my critique now of dead drilling with no resistance is that it's like, some of these, double leg things where you level changing to hit your knee on the ground, is that really smart? I don't know. I don't think so. Anyway, so yeah, the side control games were pretty good. It was trying to pry, so when you're on top, trying to pry the elbows up and get under the elbows, and then the second one, the goal was still prying the elbows up, but the guy on the bottom was just trying to get an underhook and up and over the back, so essentially an escape. So they were good, and they were at full speed, and I would love to have seen those that sort of thing replicated throughout the lesson. It was still a good lesson. There was just still a lot of instruction, and he even said later on that his concern is that he doesn't know, like, he doesn't want to be providing a practice design that reinforces shitty bad habits. And I get that. Like, I really do get that. It is kind of a valid criticism, and I think that's why, as a coach, like, he was sort of working with me the whole time and letting the white belts work. I think as a coach, I think having that rotation where everyone rotates in on the same thing, swaps over on the same person. That way, I as a coach can oversee what they're actually doing in order to make decisions based on how to modify the practice or point them in the right direction if they're not going in that direction. Anyway, that's again, there were some great details that Aaron was pointing out. I just would like to, I'd like him to read the How We Learn by Rob Gray, because I think it's going to give him a better understanding of the why, which will allow him a much a greater ability to identify the how and implement it, because he's a school teacher. He's a smart dude, you know. So anyway, thanks for joining me on this my journey into the ecological dynamics and constraints-led approach. Much love. Peace.